Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today, my guest is here from West Georgia Health. I have on Ralph Duraski, the manager of the Respiratory Therapy Department. Ralph, welcome to the show.
Thank you for letting me be here with you this morning.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, and I don't think we've had an opportunity to sit down and chat before, so I'm gonna try to get a lot of questions in.
Okay, that's good.
All right, very good. First of all, just tell us a little bit about, you are the manager there at the Respiratory Therapy Department. Talk a little bit about your role.
Okay, yeah, I'm the director of the Respiratory Care Department, and I have about 22 employees in my department. We do respiratory therapy, which is on the floor. Mm-hmm. We have a sleep lab, a sleep center, where we do sleep studies. And I'm also over central transportation. I can't forget my transporters. They're a bunch of good guys, and I want them to realize I appreciate them too.
Absolutely. It's a team effect. I mean, team.
It is. It's a big team. It's a big team.
Absolutely. And you say a sleep center there, right?
Right.
Let me ask you, because I see so many times and I heard people that go in for these sleep tests and things. What are you all looking for, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, we're looking for obstructive sleep apnea or some reason that you're not sleeping well at night. It may be anything from obstructive sleep apnea to narcolepsy to a neurological issue that's causing a problem.
Oh, okay. Because I know sometimes, I think you go to bed early, you wake up middle of the night, you can't go back to sleep.
Right.
I'm like, okay, what is that all about?
Yeah. So, and those are the kind of things. Why are you not sleeping well at night? It could be just something simple, or it could be, you have us guys as we get older.
That's right.
Start to have a little more sleep issues than our female counterparts.
That's right. Now, you are the manager for the Respiratory Therapy Department. What is your main focus? I know when you talk about respiratory, we know we're talking about breathing.
We're talking about breathing, and our job is what it boils down to is help people breathe better. Mm-hmm. We work with asthma patients, emphysema patients, anybody with a chronic if lung disease. Mm-hmm. We work with those guys. We work with patients that have been exposed to asbestos. If you've got black lung disease, any kind of lung disease is where we're focused in on. Okay.
You mentioned asbestos, and I know that's something that was kind of very prevalent back in the building construction way back when. So are we seeing, or do you all see patients that come in now that may have some?
Well, occasionally we see one come in. We don't have as many in LaGrange as we have a lot of patients with emphysema. That's kind of where, and asthma, that's the kind of ones we're seeing here. But other hospitals out there, they're going to be seeing some of probably our parents and grandparents' age mainly, that have been exposed to asbestos over the years.
Let me ask you, what are some of the treatments for that if you see that in a patient?
Well, we treat a lot of our patients, it seems like we treat them all the same sometimes.
Okay.
If you come in with an asthma episode where you're wheezing and carrying on, or if you're an older emphysema patient, we may give you the same medicine to open up your bronchial tube. It's called a bronchodilator, and we'll give you that breathing treatment. You'll see them smoke. It looks like they're smoking a pipe.
That's right.
They're smoking that pipe, and they're breathing that medicine in and out. And what that does is, instead of your airways being constricted, it opens those airways up like they should be, and helps them get their breathe easier. We may work with, you'll see the asthma patients a lot of times with the inhalers. You'll shake that inhaler up. We teach them how to use those inhalers, and that's that same, and it's the same medicine a lot of times, the same bronchodilator, or it could be a steroid or some other.
Just to get those airways open.
Just to get your airways open, get rid of the inflammation in your airways, because a lot of times when they're constricted like that, they get red and swollen. It's like skin in your knee. You'll get red and swollen. And it's the same thing. It's just an irritation, and get your airways open.
Okay, well, very good. Now, we also want to talk about something that I know that you all are very proud of, and I think that since 2009, you all have not had what we called a ventilator-associated pneumonia case. Talk a little bit about that, and before we get into that, talk a little bit about, we call it VAP for short, right?
Yeah, we call it VAP for short.
Talk a little bit about VAP for me, if you don't mind.
Okay, VAP is it happens when you place a person on a mechanical ventilator. That's that breathing machine that people see at the bedside. What happens is we put a breathing tube in, and our body normally on a daily basis, we're protected with our nose and our back of our throat and our mouth and all. It catches that bacteria before it gets down in our lungs. When you put that breathing tube in, or if you put a tracheostomy in somebody, you just bypassed all our protection.
Ah.
So when you put that breathing tube in, it gives kind of a straight line to bacteria to go into your lungs. So what we try to do, and what we've done pretty well over the last 5 years, is we've developed a process to prevent that installation of bacteria into your lungs.
Okay.
So when you're placed on that mechanical ventilator, we want you to come off that ventilator as quick as you can.
Oh, okay. What's the normal time that someone's on? When you say as quick as they can, what's the normal?
Okay, you kind of look at the length of stay on the ventilator, and it can vary from a very short time right after surgery to maybe, weeks or months. Our average length of stay, we actually started our program back in 2001.
Okay.
Started looking at these, what we could do to prevent this. Our length of time on a ventilator at that time was about 7 days.
Okay.
Now our length of time on a ventilator is 3.5 days. So, give or take just a little bit.
Okay.
But we've almost cut it in half.
There.
So that's awesome. And, thanks to the respiratory therapists and the nurses and the doctors being very aggressive of getting people off and preventing this disease, a pneumonia.
Okay.
They've done a great job of moving those patients and getting them out of that situation so they can heal and go on home with their family.
Very good. And you kind of jumped into my next question. I was going to ask, what do you attribute that to? And I heard you mention about the doctors and nurses. What else would you attribute that, long period of time with not having a VAPS case here in our area?
Well, what we've done, we have certain protocols set up, and you may walk in and you may see the head of the bed sitting at a 30 to 45 degree angle. The rest, we actually give what's called a sedation vacation.
A sedation vacation?
Sedation vacation, yeah. If the patient is on something to keep them sedated so they don't have difficulty breathing on the ventilator, we let them wake up a little bit to see if they can start every day. We let them wake up a little bit to see if they can maintain their own breathing, and we can get them off the machine quicker.
Okay.
There are certain things that we do every day, and the nurses do their thing, the respiratory therapists do theirs, and the doctor compiles all that information and starts looking at that patient. Our goal, as soon as we put you on the ventilator, is to get you off the ventilator. And one of the things that the nurses do such an outstanding job with is mouth care. We brush our teeth 2-3 times a day. And that's what the nurses do. They go in there about every 12 hours and brush your teeth. Every 4 hours, they're doing something, cleaning the mouth, keeping your mouth clean, keep those germs from growing in your mouth.
Okay.
And the respiratory therapists do their part by keeping that breathing tube secured in place and not letting it move back and forth, and keeping everything in this protocol. It's a very lean process, and every patient gets the same thing every day. And that way it helps the patients get off that ventilator quicker.
Well, very good. And since 2009, you had not had anyone to come down or had to stay there longer because of the protocol that you all have in place.
Right.
Well,
and when you start doing that, this is kind of what we're talking about in healthcare today, is how do we prevent problems,
right,
instead of treating problems.
Absolutely. Very good. Let me ask you, because you all have in your department there a pulmonary rehab program.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that for us.
Yeah, we're very proud of our pulmonary rehab program. It started a couple years ago. What that does is our patients that have emphysema, chronic bronchitis, maybe an asthma, it's an adult-focused program at this point. But we do some asthma education. But if you have somebody that's really debilitated from smoking a long time, we actually bring them in and teach them how to exercise. We teach them about their disease. We teach them how to use their drugs appropriately. Okay. And that way we make them stronger. Once you get stronger, we focus a lot on the upper body. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it may be a 1 pound hand weight to somebody that's healthy, but go, well, this ain't nothing. Well, if you're a 100-pound little woman, right. 1 pound weight, if you've been smoking a long time, we want to strengthen your upper body. Okay. And by strengthening your upper body, it makes you breathe better. We use all these muscles up here on a daily basis to breathe. But we help you strengthen these muscles and teach you how to cope with your disease, and it helps people get out and do, I mean, simple things. Go to the
right.
grocery store, going out to dinner, go visit their grandkids, such as that.
Very good. And you know, something you're talking about smoking, sometimes you see people that smoke, you know, have smoked for a prolonged period of time, they have like this consistent cough. How do you all help them with that as well?
We actually, believe it or not, we teach people how to cough sometimes. We teach them how to breathe and cough all at the same time, and that's part of this program. We want them to use their abdominal muscles a lot of times to cough instead of just kind of, you know, halfway doing it. Cough and clear your airway and get that stuff out.
Now, and I know that you all work in conjunction with the person's primary doctor. Talk a little bit about the relationship between the primary doctor and what you all do.
Yeah, we work with them from the time the patient comes into the hospital all the way through our pulmonary rehab program or our sleep program or anything like that. We go in, and like I said, we're focused in on your lungs and how it interacts with your heart. And so we go with the doctor. We'll make suggestions on what drugs they need, on how frequently they need those drugs, their breathing drugs. And we work with them on the ventilators, you know, how to set those ventilators, because everybody's a little different. You and I are about the same size, so we may be on the same settings, but you get somebody that's real small or real large, and you got to kind of think about how all that plays into being on that ventilator. But we make suggestions to the physician, and the physicians know the whole body.
Right.
And they know what's going on with that patient. And so, you know, we work back and forth, a lot of good interaction between the physicians, and we work with the nurses at the bedside, making sure we're all on the same page of what's going on.
Well, very good. It sounds like very interesting. I think I could ask question after question about
this.
Yeah,
it could get, we could spend a long time talking about respiratory therapy.
I'm serious. I'm sure we could, because I had some other questions, but you know, time has just kind of gotten away. I would like to invite you back again, and let's talk a little bit about, maybe you can bring some diagrams in the show, okay?
We could do that.
All right. Well, Ralph, thank you so very much for being on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Back for more City Week in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm a flight nurse with AirEvac Life Team. I'm here to talk to you today about helmet safety. Whether riding a bicycle, motorcycle, or ATV, it's always a good idea to wear your helmet. Helmets not only prevent serious brain injury, they may just save your life. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, bicycle helmets are effective 85 to 88% of the time in preventing brain injury. For motorcycle riders, helmets prevent death 29% of the time and are 67% effective in preventing significant brain injury. In Georgia and Alabama, all bicycle riders age 16 and under are required to wear a helmet. Motorcycle riders in both states are required to wear a helmet at all times. Make sure when purchasing a helmet for bicycles, it has the Consumer Product Safety Committee sticker on it, or CPSC sticker. All motorcycle helmets should have a DOT approved or Department of Transportation approved helmet. Make sure that your helmet fits properly. It should fit snug but comfortable, should not slide from side to side or up and down. Ensure that it sits level on your head, low on your forehead, and never tilted back. Ensure that your helmet does not have any visible cracks or damage, and that you don't wear a helmet that's been involved in an accident. Helmets involved in wreck can have unseen damage and may not adequately protect you. For more information on helmets, you can visit the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website at www.nhtsa.gov. As emergency medical providers in your community, we see a large increase in head injuries over the summer months, especially those related to bicycle, ATV, and motorcycle accidents. Please wear your helmet. It's not only the law, it's the smart thing to do and might just save your life. Have a fun and safe summer from your Troup County AirEvac Life Team crew.
Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have a member of the LaGrange team here. I have Ernie Harris from the LaGrange Garage. Ernie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, Ernie, now I know I haven't had a chance to sit down with you on the show to talk about the things that you do there at the LaGrange Garage, because I know so many times we have vehicles that roll all over this city, and nobody ever really probably give a lot of care about who maintains those vehicles. But you're the gentleman that has the finger on the pulse of some of those vehicles that are utilized here within our fleet. Talk a little bit about your job, if you don't mind.
All right, my job, I work at City of LaGrange Garage, and been there almost 34 years. And mostly what I do is I work on the landfill equipment, heavy equipment, the bulldozers, the tractors, and that's what I do at the landfill.
Okay, good. And a lot of people don't, the heavy equipment.
Yes.
And then we also have, like you said, the landfill equipment, then also the bigger trucks there. But your job is primarily for the ones out at the big dozers and things of that nature.
Yes.
How long have you been working on those, Ernie? If I'm
I first started like at the shop in 1980, and I worked in the shop till about 86. And then a guy retired, J.C. Thrakill retired, and I moved on out to the landfill and started working out there in about 1986. Stayed out there about 10 years, come back in the shop 10 years, and then I'm back out there again. Oh, okay. And in the shop, we cover everything from small engines, the lawnmowers, weed eaters, all the way up to the D7 tractors. We actually have a compactor out there that weighs about 90,000 pounds that compacts the trash. And so we cover all the entire city.
The whole gamut of it.
Yes.
34 years, Ernie. Talk a little bit about that. How have you seen things change from when you first started with the City of LaGrange to what you see now?
Well, at first, you'd actually could get up under a hood and sit under a hood and work on the motor. You had points, plugs, wires. Me and you could work on it no problem. We could do that. But now when you raise the hood up, you can't even see the motor. And it's mostly computers. We got a snap-on computer that we can hook up to it. It's called a Modus. And it more or less tells you the problem. It'll tell you a code, you look up the code on the internet, and it'll tell you what system is bad. Now, it's the same thing with bulldozers now. The bulldozers, we have some older tractors. One of my older tractors is a 1986 D7. Pretty easy to work on. Diesel motor, everything's big, but it's not hard to work on.
Right.
You got the hydraulic system, electrical system, cooling system. It's just not hard to work on. But some of the new ones now, still it has built-in computers that when I have a problem, it'll show up on the computer and tell you about what's wrong with it. But you have to have a laptop to go in there and find the specific piece that is wrong. And so it's a little more complicated now. And everything's a lot tighter with emission controls. It's just a lot harder to work on now.
So with all those changes that have come about, and I'm sure the schooling that you've had to acquire and the certifications have probably increased as well. Talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yes, well, I'm also ASE certified. It's Automotive Service Excellence certified. I go about every 5 years to re-up on some of the engines, brakes, air conditioning. I'll do that, and also I drive a fuel truck in the afternoons. I have to have a CDL driver license with hazmat endorsement. I have to do my we do my hazmat every 5 years also, and that's a pretty big deal there. You have to be fingerprinted, you have to have an FBI background check, and so there's a lot of things you have to get done.
Absolutely. You're talking about 34 years and been here at the City of LaGrange, and I know there's been a journey, it's been a wonderful experience, because a lot of times we just don't see people leaving the City of LaGrange too soon or too quickly when they become employed with the City of LaGrange. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment of why you've stayed here for so many years?
Yes. Well, it's almost like a family down there where we're at. I come there in 1980. And I'm kind of one of the rookies of the older guys. My boss Tommy Brown, he's been there a little over 40. We have Travis been there about 38 or so, and then me, and it's a pretty good group. Where there's a bunch of good guys. I almost more or less raised up there because I've been there since I was 18. Only job I ever had.
Oh my, that's great. And and I must say too, I've been with the city for a number of years as well. It's a great place to work. Now we're here today to talk a little bit about something that I think you're very excited about, and the City of LaGrange is very excited as well. You recently were a participant in what we call the Solid Waste Association of North America, what it calls SWANA.
Yes.
It's a rodeo.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that for us.
This is a SWANA rodeo, equipment rodeo. And what this is the employees of cities and counties in Georgia, they come together in Dublin, Georgia. And you'll see the garbage trucks going down the road every day. You'll see the roll-offs, the front loaders. And we have some tractor trailer drivers. And these guys, especially with the cities, they do real well with safety. Okay, the city's big on safety, and these are some really great drivers. And they take the best drivers and send them over here, and they go through obstacle courses, and they're very difficult obstacle courses. I've seen a track trailer go through a serpentine course and then have to back right back through it.
Oh,
and they had to drive these garbage trucks through small gates and not touch them, maybe an inch on each side. So, and then also they had equipment where the dozer operators, trackhoe operators, they would do different tasks and difficult tasks with these pieces of equipment. And the city sent, our sanitation was a fellow named Landon. He got a 3rd place. We had Monty from the landfill. He got a 2nd place in equipment. And then I was in the mechanic category, where I had to diagnose some problems on a tractor. I also had to take a written test. And apparently the test was 50-question test, and it was a time test, and I got all the questions apparently right, most of them. And there was me and 4 other people. They were from, I think, Savannah, Augusta, and Fayette County, and then me from LaGrange. And then we had to go work on a tractor. It was a John Deere rubber tire loader. The guy created a couple problems on this tractor, and it was a cooling problem and it was an air conditioning problem, and I had to diagnose that in a time limit. And I had got the most of the questions correctly in the quickest amount of time, and found the problems in the quickest amount of time. So therefore that gave me the top score on both of them, and they said, and that gave me 1st place.
Oh, very good. Now, the situations that were created, did all of the participants have to have or diagnose the same situation, or were there different situations there?
Yes, each one of the mechanics had, I would say, probably about 10 minutes to figure it out. And we all had to go up one at a time, and the judge would tell us exactly what was wrong. The cooling system was saying it was running hot, but it wasn't running hot, full of antifreeze. The air conditioning was, the fan was blowing, but no cooling. And you just had to go and try to figure it out. And luckily I was one of the quicker ones.
One of the quicker ones.
Yeah, to figure that out.
And a written test along with the actual hands-on portion of the test.
Yes, the online you can get, there's a place you can go online and look at the tests. There were 200 questions. They pulled 50 out of the 200 questions, and it covered big trucks and heavy equipment, where it was electrical, transmissions, hydraulics, brakes, and also safety too. We had to ask several safety questions.
Well, very good. Now you said there were various obstacles and other things that the participants had to do. And we were talking before we came on. Talk a little bit about some of those things that they had to do with these equipments, and I guess the tediousness of it.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. The drivers was amazing. You know, you see these city trucks on the road all the time, and you hardly ever, I shouldn't say that you never hear an accident. There may be one now, but there's usually not any accident. Great drivers. And our supervisors stress safety all the time. And the garbage truck, which is called a rear loader, they had to drive down through a course, the serpentine course, had to back up into a small area, had to drive down through some tennis balls that had 1 inch on each side. You couldn't touch the tennis balls, and then you had to go around and go through some more gates without touching them, and then you had to come up to a certain area and you had to stop within just 3 or 4 inches of a line, and the closer you were, you know, the more points you would get.
Right.
Also in our heavy equipment, a guy that works at the landfill named Monty, he did really well. It's amazing. He had to come through there, had knocked some tennis balls. He was driving a excavator. It's what we call a track hoe with the bucket on front. And he had to come through there and knock tennis balls off PVC pipes without touching the pipe. He did that. He come back around. Then he had to pick up a Coca-Cola can that was in a holder. They hooked a welding rod to one of the teeth on the bucket, and then he had to come around and pick that Coca-Cola can up with the tab sticking up. He had to stick that wire in that tab, pick it up out of a holder, and go over and set it down in another holder without breaking the tab, dropping it, or hurting the can.
Oh my goodness!
And then he had to go over and pick up 3 basketballs, one at a time, put them in a trash can without busting the ball and ringing the trash can, and then he had to go down and they had 2 Gatorade bottles with eggs sitting on top. And he had to take that big old bucket, and he just barely had to touch it, just had to crack them, not knock them over. And so that was just amazing, the talents that those operators have.
Absolutely. So I mean, to think about, you know, touching the egg with the bucket there, it would have been a scrambled egg. It had to been me, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you went and you scored very well.
Yes.
And for that, you're going to be traveling on to Denver, Colorado, I think, to compete at the national
Yes.
level. Talk about
Since
that.
I was the overall winner in the mechanics category, SWANA will send me to Denver, Colorado in September for the international SWANA rodeo, where I'll compete against other mechanics from, I guess, all around the states. And from what I've read here is I'm going to have 5 pieces of equipment to work on. I'll have 10 minutes to troubleshoot the pieces of equipment. And I won't have a written test on this one, but I'll have to have a pre-inspection checklist I have to fill out.
Okay.
And on a piece of heavy equipment. And so I don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, very good. Well, we're very excited about the fact that, because I know that this is your second year, I think, competing, correct?
Yes, I went last year and I got second place.
Okay.
And not only I learned how to compete, also competing and mechanicking is 2 different things. When I see a piece of equipment tore up, I'll go to, say the lights are tore up. I start with the light bulb, work down the light system and down to the fuses. Usually if you have a fuse blown in a piece of equipment, that fuse blowed for a reason. You pull a fuse out, put it in, it'll pop again.
Right.
So if you got a fuse blown, it's probably going to be a short somewhere. And what I did last year, I got second place last year because I didn't go, the obvious go straight to the fuse panel. You know, I did what I would do at the landfill. I start at one end and go to the other. And the other guy, he went right into the fuse panel and went right over to the air conditioner, and he fixed it a lot quicker than I did. And you only have like 10 minutes to do it, and it took me longer to do that, so I got second place last year.
Well, we want to say congratulations to both times of being a winner and representing the City of LaGrange so very well, Ernie. We wish you the very best when you go out to Denver, Colorado, and we know you're going to come back #1, okay?
Thank you very much. I hope so.
Well, Ernie, thank you for coming on the show today and sharing that information with us, and again, we just wish you the very best, all right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for City Week this week. My guests have been from West Georgia Health. I had on the manager of Respiratory Therapy Department, Ralph Durasky, as he talked about what we call VAP, or Ventilated Associated Pneumonia, and how the hospital has gone since 2009 without a case of that. So ladies and gentlemen, we want to say congratulations to West Georgia Health for being recognized for that accomplishment. Also, I had on from the City of LaGrange, from the garage, I had on Ernie Harris, as he talked about the events that he participated in, the SWANA, which is Solid Waste Association of North America, and he will be also going to Denver, Colorado in September to compete at the national level. So we wish him the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed these interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.